So thanks for being here. There's a book club. We get to read through a book, learn from it, grow from it. And this is our fifth featured book in the series. Is Business is Personal by Bethenny Frankel. And we did an introduction overview last week, and today we're going to dive into it with chapter 1. So we did an introduction to the book last week, which is this book, right? Bethenny Frankel. So we're just going to go into chapter 1. You know, the title of chapter 1 says, so that's the book again. And like, this is just an outlook. It seems like we're going to need 3 weeks to fully digest chapter 1. You know, we'll start with an introduction to it. Then the other remaining part seems to be like we need 2 weeks. We're not going to drag it. If we have to finish everything in shorter time, we will do that. I just don't want to be in a hurry. That's all. So that's just chapter 1. The title says you've got to be in it to win it. You know, it's just re-emphasizing the fact that if you're not inside it, you cannot win it. You know, a quick example is, you know, I used to do a lot of practicing the stock exchange, right, on paper, because there are some softwares that also allow you to do that, where you can do some trading away from the main market just to practice your hand on. Being a data-driven person, I used to do an enormous amount of data checking and tracking the stock exchange without having money in the market. That was a waste of my time and a missed opportunity, right? I did not have the reality of the effect of the market. Even though I might have won or lost on paper, I did not get the benefit of the market itself, right? If you're not in it, you can't really win or lose. And the thing about lose is that it's not necessarily a loss altogether, because you get to understand the market more by it, right? For as long as you're not greedy, right? You're not biting more than you can chew, right? So the key thing she's trying to emphasize is the fact that you need to be in the market, right, to be able to get the full benefit of the market. You know, that's all she's trying to emphasize in this. And and it's just like the popular saying we normally would hear, right? All right, sorry, I'm gonna put this back. It's just like the popular saying we have, right? When we talk about the fact that if you don't buy the raffle, you cannot win, right? You cannot win the raffle or the lottery if you don't buy the ticket, right? If you don't buy a lottery, all you can do is gaze on the TV. You will never win, because your name won't be there to have a number, right? Same thing with the raffle. You know, you have to be in it to win, right? Generally, we'll talk about scoring, right? If you're not on the field, you cannot win, you can't score, right? You can only score if you're part of the game, right? Or you have a club that you're a part of. You're either part of the game directly, or you are part of the game through some proxy or the other, right? And obviously you can't harvest if you don't sow. And that's very practical for us, where we have a farm business here, Kevin and myself, right? We can only expect a harvest when we sow, right? Are you all hearing me well? Are you hearing me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, awesome. Great. You know, and obviously the last one again, which is a repetition, you can't win if you're not in the game, you know. And it's just talking about the fact that you need to be involved. You need to have your hands on ground. You have to get your hands in the game, get your hands dirty, not dirty from a moral standpoint, but being in the game itself, right? And generally, even though we talk about in this very aspect, what we're talking about also is in the game of life itself. right? You have to be involved in the game of life to win. Life is a game, right? We can look at life from different perspective, right? And one of the perspective is that we see life as a game itself, right? And unless you are involved in the game of life, you cannot win, right? You're sure to lose because you're truly in the game. Whether you're in the game, whether you're a game intentionally or not, you are in the game. So the game affects you when it comes to life. The only question is whether you are intentional or not. And unless you're intentional, you cannot win, right? You have to be intentional to win. If you're not intentional, you truly cannot win. You can only lose, right? Because the game of life is done in such a way that the only way you're going to win is that you are intentional about it, right? Because it's not just a game, it's also a warfare, right? There are different elements of life that one does not want you to win. And unless you put in a concerted effort to win, you most probably will not, right? Just to move on that, just looking at other things here, we have that famous quote by Plato, which says that the beginning is the most important part of the work, right? And we can look at the beginning from different aspects here in terms of life, right? The beginning is the fact that you came into this life, you were born into this life. Typically would say that there are two things we don't determine. We don't determine when we get born. We don't determine when we die, but we determine the in-between. God did not give us the opportunity to decide when we get born, nor when we die, unless we commit suicide, obviously. But it gives us everything to decide in between life, being born and dying, right? That is where you can win. You don't win at birth. You don't necessarily win at death. You win in the in-between of life, right? And so typically would say things like, taking the leap of life, then find your way on the way down, because if you're looking for perfect conditions, there's probably never going to be a perfect condition to live. It's just going to be you making the best of what you have every day, every second, and doing something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be that you're doing something with the information you have, the best information you have at every point in time. You don't have to have all the information to get involved in life, right? If you want to wait for a perfect plan, it never occurs. There's no perfect plan anywhere, because every plan you make will change. It will change when you get into the real circumstance of the event that you are planned for, right? Irrespective of what you plan for today, yesterday, it will never be perfect, because the conditions, there are a lot of things that will happen that you never envisaged in that plan. So it's good to plan, but you don't need a perfect plan. You just need to have a plan and be willing and ready to make changes as reality hits you, right? And so a perfect business plan does not exist, right? And if you read books like From Good to Great, Built to Last, and you have Jim Collins and his partner doing a lot of study of businesses. And they tell you that the businesses that make it and become great is not because they have a perfect plan. They just had the culture, and they were willing to respond to changes, as they go along. That's what makes them great, right? And obviously, you have to be in it to win, and you just have to do it. All right. The next few slides, I'm going to talk about three people, that's kind of exemplify this. One is the lady in the book itself, and two people are brought in to add to this to exemplify what we're talking about. So I'm just going to pause, to see if there's any question, anything you want to add to everything I've said. Anything anyone wants to add, question, something you want me to expatiate on? And anything?
No.
No, all right, great. Chidi, anything?
No, sir. I think I'm a bit distracted. I may be living something again. Yeah.
All right. Kevin, anything? Kevin. Anything you want me to add? Question for me? Anything you want to add? Kevin? No, all right, great. All right, I see your chat. All right, great. So, all right, I'm going to move on here. Just look at these 3 examples. So the first one is a lady called Candace Bushnell, which Frankel describes in the book, and pretty much just talking about how she took life, right? She was a writer. She saw herself as a writer. So she was in college and she was going through school. Like in college, you don't just read one thing. Whatever it is that you went to school to read, they try to make it broad. So they have you take courses from different places. But she saw all of that as a distraction from the main thing she wanted to do. So she checked out of college and went about trying to get into writing full force. Obviously, she met a lot of failures, disappointments. It didn't come out like she wanted it, but she didn't give up, right? She did all that she needed to do, at least to put food on the table while she pursued her writing career. The thing is, at the end of all of that, she succeeded, right? It wasn't necessarily a straight road. It wasn't necessarily an easy road, but she had a burning desire, which she kept on pushing, to get to, and she got there because she was willing to do everything she needed to buy time, to put food on the table while she focused on her passion, And when you go to Hollywood, you see a lot of people that are on the street, probably homeless and all of that. A lot of people left their city, their state to go to Hollywood, hoping that they're going to make it. Not everybody makes it. Not everybody that goes to Hollywood makes it. Not everybody gets to be auditioned. Not everybody that auditions passes. My last daughter was very much interested in acting and all of that. So we got into a lot of these agents that get people. So we did some of those, right? And it costs money, and nothing is guaranteed, right? And you have to keep on following them and all of that. So out of the 1,000 of people that seek to get picked, not probably 10% or less get picked, so it's not guaranteed, right? If it's your passion, if it's that as a burning desire inside of you, you can get there, but you just have to be willing to pay the price for it, Any question on that? Anybody has a burning desire they've had to push along for, you're almost giving up on, or you've given up, or you think that you can have a burning desire that you can pay the price for. And while you're trying to answer that, on our Facebook, when we read our first book, The 4 Purposes of Life, we part of that, we talked about the fact that we differentiated between what a career is and what a calling is, right? So a calling is that which you can do for free. It's what makes you. It's what satisfies the inside hunger inside of you. Sometimes your calling can also be your career, but that's not all the time, right? That is not true for everybody. For a good number of people, it's not true. They have to go get a job to put food on the table, while by the side they do their calling that fulfills them. But if you're able to get a 2 to match, that is awesome. Then you work for free because you're getting your fulfillment and you're getting paid for doing that. And there are a lot of people that get that opportunity, that privilege, and it's possible, just like it takes time to get there. But while you're on the way there, you need to put food on the table. So you need to get yourself a job, and that's part of what this lady did. Today, she has it all. She has a calling as a job, and she's able to make money doing, what she loves and what satisfies her. But it takes time, it takes intentionality, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice to get there, Any question for me on that? And any question?
No question.
No question. All right. So I'm just going to go next is the person who wrote the poem Invictus. Invictus has been made popular by different people, including Nelson Mandela, right? You know, the movie that was acted talking about his life coming out of prison, his first year as president, the title of that movie is Invictus. But that Invictus is not originated from Nelson Mandela. It originates from a poem called Invictus, which was written by William N.S. Emily, right? He wrote that poem, which kind of encapsulates his own journey of life. You know, he did grow up to become a British poet, writer, critic, editor. He got his LLB, you know, all of that. But that was not an easy road because he suffered from tuberculosis at an early age. You know, the tuberculosis was so bad that they had to amputate his left leg, you know. But in spite of all of that trouble, he was able to push through life and leave a mark. He left his own mark on life, you know, today. And today we still remember him years after he's died, you know. And the most important one is this poem called Invictus, right? That's where we get that part of that poem that would say that I am the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul, right? And that's so true. Right, whatever you become is because you want to become it, right? Not because of any other person, because it's your road, it's your work of life. And you're only going to get there because you put in the sacrifice to get there, not because of anybody else. You might have people who help you, people who speak into your life, but you are the only one that can walk it. You are the only one that can order your soul to the journey's end that you are wanting it to go, right? So that's the story of Emily, N.S. Emily, you know, and it is just an example for every one of us that irrespective of our circumstance of life, irrespective of our background, irrespective of our origin, you know, there's no excuse why we can't make it in life. We can become any and everything that we want to be. It just either we need to be intentional about it and pay the sacrifice to get there. We need to catch a vision of where we want to go to, where we want to get to, and you know, and push for it. You know, do what it takes to get there. You know, and that's NS life. And lastly, I want to talk about my leadership veteran, you know, and idol. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, right? I've had to do a study on Franklin. You know, he stands out as a leader. Franklin came from an elite family, right? He was the only son of that marriage. His father was rich, right? But his father died at some point in time, relatively early. But it was set up to do well. Right, he came from an elite family, came from the Roosevelt lineage. His mother was Sarah Roosevelt, that came from a Delano family. So the name Delano in the middle comes from the mother. And he was married to his distant cousin, Eleanor Roosevelt. You know, she's very popular, probably one of the most active first ladies that ever been, you know. But the thing about Franklin was that even though he was set up to succeed, life hit him the wrong way, right? While he was the secretary of the Navy, on one of his tours, he caught polio, and that polio incapacitated his legs. He became crippled, right? And he went about looking for healing, but he never got healed. He was crippled. And that crippled, he was never healed from that crippleness. He had one of two choices to make. He could either have given up, say, oh, the end of my life, sorry me, I cannot become anything anymore, right? But he chose otherwise. That is why he stands out. He chose otherwise. Irrespective of his crippled nature, he chose to still make something out of his life. He chose to still go after his vision, his goals. Right, he came back and contested for the governorship of New York, and he won. He was the 44th governor of New York, right? That was unheard of because in those Victorian times, they were not that pitiful towards handicap. But with his handicap nature, he managed his publicity. He learned how to stand up, leaning on someone. He did everything, and he won. He worked, he won. He became the 44th governor of New York. Not only that, he went ahead to also contest for the presidency of the United States. And he won. He won. Not only that he won, he's the only one in history that to have won to become president of the United States 4 times. A record 4 times. He won that presidency 4 times. He ran 3 full terms as a president of the United States, the only one that's ever done that. After him, they had to put in legislation that people cannot run more than twice. But he ran 3 full times and would have ran 4 full times, but he died. He died after winning the 4th term in office, right? He was the chief person that fought against Germany, right? America was the chief country that fought against Germany in the Second World War, right? He championed that. He was a president through the Second World War, through the Second World War. He was a leader amongst every other person, including Stanley of Russia. America supplied ammunition to every country during his tenure for the Second World War, right? But that was in spite of the fact that he was not supposed to have been there. He was crippled. There were a lot of crippled close to the White House people that gave excuses why they did not become something. But that was not him. He did not give in to his handicap. Rather, in spite of his handicap, he pushed to fulfill the vision and dream of his life. Amen. And these are just examples to tell us that we can succeed also, right? We don't have any excuse not to succeed. We don't have any excuse not to make it, irrespective of our background, what has happened to us, is that we can succeed. We have too many examples of people that did not have the chance that we have, and they made it. We too can make it. And I did not want to go beyond that. The next thing in the book is talking about having an independent mindset. I didn't want to put too much into one session, so that we can digest and get something. So we'll take that next week, talking about an independent mindset. That any question on what we've looked at so far? Contribution also.
No question for me. It's just that his determinedness to still compete, even though he was crippled. And if it was me, I think I will probably make excuses and give up. And I'm not crippled. I can walk. I have pain in my knees, but then I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. But for him to not even be able to walk and be crippled, just like Texas governor, and still be able to be in office and make decisions, it just shows that their willingness not to quit.
Yes.
Which I need to regulate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all need to, we all need to. That's in Victor's spirit. It's being able to not allow your soul to be conquered by life. That is living above the happenings of life. You can only do that if you get involved with life. You have to take up a challenge of life. You have to say, yes, I have all of these disabilities, but in spite of these disabilities, I can make it, and I will make it and push through. Kevin, anything from your side? Kevin, anything you want to add? Oh, all right. You have a problem with unmuting your system. All right, no problem. You have technical issues just like me. Chidi, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so I mean, I know about Roosevelt, knowing him as the wave chair president and, what he went ahead to achieve. There is this guy, something Jovic, the guy, I can't remember one of those, what do you call it, East Europe or whatever, the guy that was born without limbs. And think about what the guy can do. He can swim. He can do virtually, and he preaches. When I look at him, I realize that my inability is actually me putting a barrier on myself.
Absolutely.
That I can't swim is actually me putting it upon myself. That I can't see is actually me blinding myself. Because we've had people who had made the world better, who I think in all reasonable assessment, what I have is like 1,000 times what they have. But what they've achieved, I've not even got into 0.001% of it. So I believe if we can remove that mirage, that impediment, self-imposed impediment, I think the sky will just be the starting point for us.
Absolutely. Thanks. Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, we have so many examples, we have so many examples. I started my page, Let's Talk with Aki, just because we had someone who used to follow me online, at least reads what I put, and suddenly I wasn't seeing him, and I asked about after him, and I was told that he had committed suicide, right? That's years ago, and that's the only reason I started that page, just to tell people you don't have any reason to commit suicide, right? And I was looking at people like Roosevelt. That's how first time I wrote on him, and a few other people, just examples of people that had it worse and they survived through it, It's so, we have no excuse. Irrespective of where we find ourselves, we can push through and make it. It's a laziness of the mind is what makes us give up, So hopefully as we go along, those are the things we want to talk about, So it's not just about you having a business, life itself is a business. We just want to talk about the business of your life. How are you managing the business of your life? You don't have to have a company, right? It's the business of your life, So that's what we're talking about. So hopefully we can all learn, encourage one another, and become better, better managers, of our life, this life that we're being given, That's the whole intent. All right. If there are no other questions, we can short it for today, and we'll take it from here next week. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Awesome. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great remaining of the day and enjoy your week. God bless.
God bless.
All right. Bye.